Okay, so just like my friend Nico, who's also the cameraman here, mentioned in one of the earlier videos, is to try to do this in a light-hearted way, not so heavy. So basically what I like to do is to finish off, and that's why I was referring to the money and the power that we've got with our money to actually transform the world that we live in. So what I'd like to do is just summarize some points, what I consider to be kind of cultural misunderstandings, that some of them will be touched on in further videos. But the first one for me is the idea of the direction of the movement of energy. So in the Western culture, you know, we have this unidirectional movement of energy, that there's a point of origin, there's a moment of origin, there's an explosion of some sort, and the energy moves away from that in one direction. Whereas every other culture in history, if you all the Aboriginal cultures, the Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, they all have this idea that energy moves in a circle, yeah? So it moves away from and it moves back towards. And even in our Western science, we have one of Sir Isaac Newton's laws of motion that says that every force there is an equal and opposite force. And personally for me, that, you know, when I studied that in school, in high school, and in junior high school, so it's very elementary science that we're talking about here. I never really understood that clearly until recently. I was considering the thing about, you know, that the energy moves away from and moves back towards. So it's kind of like to give and to receive. So as I give, that's the same equal and opposite. That is the same thing equally that will come back towards me. You know, this is the basis in Sanskrit of the word karma. And also in our own culture, we have as ye sow, so shall ye reap, etc., etc., etc. And, you know, I think one of the ways that we can sort of see that in the world that we live in is, for example, in Europe, we have a lot of anti-immigration sentiment, you know, that there's a lot of North Africans coming over and this and that. But if we just look back, even like 5 or 6 years in our history, for example, you know, the French government of Sarkozy went and he bombed Libya, and now the Libyans are trying to escape a war or famine or everywhere else, and so they're coming into Europe. So for me, you know, we have to sort of look at things a little bit more honestly, with less maybe frustration and anger, and see what the cause of some of these problems are. And so that's another misunderstanding. So this whole thing connected with the movement of the energy. The other one is that if we look at a garden is healthy and it's beautiful because it has varieties. Varieties of plants, some attract butterflies, some attract this, some attract that. The soil becomes healthier. And I think as well that if we look at, for example, you know, mixed race children, they're often more beautiful and they're more healthy. Another example is in Europe we had this, you know, the royal families that were of the same blood. So there wasn't any mixture coming in there. And then the result was they got blood diseases. They became weaker as individuals, less healthy. So for me, this is another really, really big misunderstanding is we're always trying to, you know, like little pink houses, to put everything in these boxes so that it becomes more economically profitable. But number one, it takes away the humanity and it takes away the health, takes away the beauty. You know, so these are sort of things that I think, you know, some major misunderstandings that lead to, in some way or another, unhealthy situations.